Okay,
So
cool.
just go for it.
Awesome. Well, Izzy,
Yeah.
welcome to LodgeCast.
Thank you. It's such a pleasure to be here. I feel very special to be the second guest.
Yeah, it's been something.
Yeah, it's such a great idea. I'm so excited to be here.
Thank you. So basically, it's just a chance to get to know you a bit better. You know, have a bit more of a longer conversation, because a lot of the times it's just like a 5-minute chit chat in between classes or whatnot.
Yeah.
So I started out last episode with this one as well.
Okay.
First question: who is Izzy Michael?
Oh,
Yeah, answer that any way you want.
Political candidate here, which absolutely I'm not. Well, I think I'm a country girl at heart. I grew up in the small country town of Deniliquin, which is on the New South Wales Victorian border, and that was amazing. I grew up on a farm there. I have a very big, rambunctious family. I'm the eldest of 5, so yeah, big family. And I have lots of cousins. So I have 3 brothers and a sister, and I'm the eldest. So I'm the bossy big sister. I suppose that's what they would see me as. But I think I'm a very optimistic person, and I think that I'm a real extrovert. So I absolutely love people. And I think that sort of drives all that I do. All of my work involves people, whether that's, in a cafe or going into law and trying to make change in that area. I think it's all driven by people and interactions and conversation. That's probably, who I am in that sense.
Interesting. So, being the eldest,
yes,
from what I know, I'm a single child, so
okay.
I had a very different growing up.
In my house, it's just so loud.
Yes, I don't think I would cope longer than 5 minutes. But did you have to become like a third parent?
No, I think so. My mum is the eldest of 7 kids.
Okay.
And I think that she really took on that role in her family. And so I think that she and Dad made a very conscious decision not to do that to me. I was always just, we were sort of a gang of kids, and then there was Mum and Dad. And the wonderful thing about having 4 younger siblings is that a lot of the time you are sort of king of the kids, and you can lead them whatever way you want, and then sort of be like, oh, it wasn't me, it was Jack. And there's always someone, like if I didn't like one of them, there was 3 others to play with. So I think that particularly with my siblings that I'm really close in age to, particularly the 2 older boys, we always just played together. And then the 2 younger ones, I think I do have a different relationship with them. Henry's 14 and Katie's 11. So there's a 9-year age gap between Katie and I. But I think that hasn't meant I'm like a parent. I think it's just meant that our relationship is a bit different because we're in such different stages. But I mean, there's something so lovely about that. Like Katie makes Christmas and Easter and things like that so special because, we still have Santa and the Easter Bunny and the Tooth Fairy and
I still do.
all of that. Oh, all of us do because they're real.
Yeah.
But but yeah, I think, it just means that our relationships are different, but none of them are less valuable. And I think, they weren't like a mother child role. They were just different. Yeah. I think they would all say that I am a bossy older sister and that I stick my nose in where it doesn't belong and that I have an opinion about everything, but I don't think that they would consider me a mum. No.
Interesting.
Yeah.
So growing up rural farm.
Yes.
And then coming to ANU, Canberra, doing law. Are you the first in your family to go to university?
No. So both of my parents are teachers.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. So the farm was always a hobby So it's a small farm. It's a hobby farm. And it's basically just made up of a menagerie of animals that we've collected throughout the years. So Dad is a real softie for animals, and so my uncle has a dairy farm, and so he would always adopt, like, you know, the old cow with a bit of a bung hip that couldn't quite walk to the dairy, or the little calf that, you know, was too small and needed some extra love. So that's sort of what our farm's made up of. We have blind cows, we have you know, sheep that were orphaned that I'd find when I was out running and take home with me. So that's sort of the farm, but we definitely weren't like rice farmers or something. Like that wasn't our whole life. And with both of my parents being teachers, like they are extremely passionate about the power of education and about the importance of education. And they were never particularly prescriptive in what that had to be, and for a very long time I wished they had been, because I was like, I don't know what to do with my life, and I wish that they just said, just do this, but they never did, and I'm really glad that they didn't in the end. But yeah, I think it was a big change moving to Canberra, and one that I don't know I'd fully prepared myself for. I mean, I think I had as best I could, but I think that there's something really special about growing up in a country town, and having everyone know who you are and who your parents are. And I think moving away from all of that is extremely difficult. And then added on to that, I have that really loud, rambunctious family that I'm extremely close with. So that was also a big challenge. But I think that coming to uni is about building your own family, you know. So I found within the first few days a great group of friends, including you, and and yeah, things got a lot easier from there. So I think, I don't know if I've answered your question, but yeah, I think that I was always going to end up at uni. That was always something that I wanted to do. And ANU was the best place to do law. And Canberra was the nicest place I could imagine between Melbourne and Sydney. And so I just ended up here. And I think also for a very long time in year 12, I didn't think that I would get into ANU for law. So when I did, I just sort of went, oh my God, let's go. So I was off, probably without thinking, and that was probably a good thing in retrospect. Yeah.
How long did you know you wanted to do law?
Well, I read To Kill a Mockingbird when I was about 13, and I remember saying to Mum and Dad, oh, like, I think this is what I want to do. I need to be Atticus Finch. And then I went off it for a while. I did debating and I really enjoyed that, but I think my debating teacher was actually a lawyer who'd become a teacher, and she was always like, oh, law's terrible, being a teacher's great, don't be a lawyer, whatever you do. So I think I just was like, yep, cool, not going to do that. And I considered a lot of other things. My poor careers advisor can attest to that. I was constantly, like, every week coming up with a new thing that I wanted to do. I did work experience in a hospital in radiography. I looked at being a vet, a psychologist, HR manager, all sorts of things, all of which involve people. So I think that was one of the criteria that always had to exist. And I think I wanted to help people. So I knew those two things. And I think probably realistically in the back of my mind, I knew I wanted to study law. But you know, the ATARs for law were really intimidating, and the study time, and, you know, it's a pretty big commitment when you're not completely sure that that's what you want to do. But I think it was probably towards the end of year 12 where I just was like, I think this is it. I think I've been shying away from it because I didn't think I'd get in, but I'm going to give it a go. And I actually came to the ANU Open Day with my mum, and we went to the Faculty of Law, and spoke to a professor, and he asked me what my projected ATAR was, which I didn't have one. My school didn't do projected ATARs. And so I was like, oh, I don't have one. And the professor said to me, oh, well, what do you think you'll get? And I, classically underestimating my own abilities, said, oh, I don't know, like 80 to 90, like that sort of realm. And he was like, oh, well, you should probably apply somewhere else because you won't get in here. And so actually, I think that the reason I ended up at ANU doing law was purely out of spite, because I was so determined to prove this man wrong, who didn't know me from a bar of soap. And I was just furious. And it's the first time. My mother is like the most composed, beautiful woman in the world. And I honestly thought that she was going to punch him that day. And so after that, I think I said to everyone else, like, oh no, I don't want to do law. I don't want to go to ANU. But I think inside, I decided that day that was where I was going. And I'm so glad that I did. And in fact, that professor was my very first tutor at ANU for law. And he's actually a really beautiful, lovely man. And I think was probably just trying to encourage me to apply to something else and move into law later. But I didn't hear the rest of his spiel because I was just furious.
Did you Did you bring it up to him?
I didn't. I don't think that he remembered me, and he honestly is one of like my biggest inspirations in law, and has been such like a mentor figure to me since starting at ANU, and has taken a real interest to my uni career. I think he'd be horrified if he knew how terrible I am at law, because he thinks I'm a genius, and I'm definitely not. But yeah, I didn't mention it to him, but I always know it, and I think I'm gonna like one day tell him. Maybe when I graduate, I'll be like, you don't remember this, but
hold on to that.
Yeah.
It's a little pocket ace you've got there to pull out against him one day.
One day.
Oh dear. But you're here now.
I'm here now.
And you're in your third year of law.
I know.
So you've managed to get through somehow.
I know. Yeah, I think really good friends and a lot of coffee and a lot of cramming. Those would probably be the three things that have got me through. Yeah.
Do you know like what specialty you might end up in?
Yeah, so I actually started my degree, so I was doing a double in development studies and law, and then development studies was good, but the subjects were very constrained, like you had to just pick from this list, and I just found that, like too limiting, and I don't know, I just wanted to be able to pick what I wanted. And so I changed it into an arts degree, because then you can sort of shape it more based on what you want, and I've loved that. So my minor is anthropology, which I've finished and of course loved, because it's all about people. And then my major is Indigenous studies, which I also love and I'm really passionate about. So I'm hoping that I'll go into Indigenous community law and look at youth hyperincarceration particularly, and then, which is like the inordinate amount of Indigenous children that are incarcerated in comparison with the non-Indigenous population. And then after that, I would love to get into law reform and potentially politics, but who knows, Matt? Who knows? I might eventually see you in Parliament House one day. You never know.
Run across paths. You'll be lobbying for me. You'll be in some sort of meeting and having to give a spiel as to why I should change the law or something.
Yeah, exactly. As long as you do what I want, then I'll stay your friend.
If you walk through the door, if I was somewhere in the world of politics and you walked through the door and I knew the meeting title was, law reform for Indigenous communities or something, and then you walked in, I wouldn't have to hear your spiel. I'd be like, yep, nah, fair enough. It should change.
Thank you. And I'd feel a lot better when I walked in and saw you. I'd be like, guys, we're fine. Don't worry. I've got this.
I know the tricks. I know how to get to him. I've got all the secret stories that could ruin his career.
Definitely not.
Oh dear. But it's definitely people focused.
definitely people focused. Yeah.
Like out of all of that, it's people focused and family focused because you grew up from such a large family.
Yeah, absolutely. I think so. My two aunties live in Deniliquin, Annie Fee and Annie Luce, and they both have boys. So I have my whole childhood, other than Katie. When Katie was born, I was so excited because she was like the only girl cousin. But other than that, I've been surrounded by boys my entire life, and yeah, I have my own little army of very protective. Well, they're basically brothers. They're my cousins, but they're my brothers basically. So yeah, I think I've never known anything else but to be surrounded by crazy, impulsive, loud people. So anywhere that I can emulate that in my life, I will. Yeah, and then I think again that big sense of community and family comes from that too. So yeah.
So what do you do when you're not studying law? Well, which I don't know, studying law, there's not a lot of time when you're not studying law.
Well,
But...
it depends how you study law. So as all of my friends can attest, I'm a terrible law student. I do not take it anywhere near as seriously as I should. I don't know. I just don't believe in being defined by my grades. And I'm not saying I'm failing anything. I've never failed anything. But I just think that there's more to life than like maintaining a distinction average in law. So I am a bit of a last minute person, and I never was until I came to uni. And then I came to uni and like I always feel like I'm working reasonably hard throughout the semester. And then I get to exams and realize I need to watch like 10 hours of lectures, write a whole shit thing of notes, and then put it together and take it into an exam. So I think there is actually a lot of time outside of law for that reason. There probably isn't if you do it right. But so I actually have another job as a student leader for the ANU First Year Experience program. So we target students from underrepresented backgrounds at ANU, so rural, regional, remote students, students from low SES, first in family to go to university, Indigenous students, things like that. And so we're a pilot program. This is our first year, and I'm actually about to produce my own podcast. So this is very good practice for me, Matt. Thank you. But yeah, so that takes up some of my time. And then as well as that, I'm an SR here at Lodge, which I love. And yeah, and then aside from that, I have lots of friends in Canberra. And, you know, as I've said, I've always been surrounded by noise. And that was really one of the things I found when I moved to Uni Lodge, was it was just so eerily quiet. I moved into a 5 share in first year. And so I thought that would be reasonably loud, but I lived with, you know, 4 18-year-old girls. So other than the nights that we were going out, it really wasn't very noisy compared to living with like 3 teenage boys and a little girl. So, and lots of dogs and cats and, you know, the madness that is my house. So it was really quiet, and that's something I struggle with. So I think anywhere that I can, you know, try and get some noise in my life, I do. I listen to a lot of podcasts. I read, I knit. And also I'm very close to my friends. So I spend a lot of time, particularly with my best friend Olivia. And yeah, going on long walks. We go on night walks most nights, which I know is probably really unsafe, but we really enjoy them.
I'm not going to tell you how to live your life, but...
But yes, I know they're unsafe. And we've only ever been followed once. It's fine. And that's like eyes. Anyway.
I wouldn't walk on a night walk. Me.
I'll take you a night. I'll protect you.
Oh, God.
Fine.
Scared of the dark.
Yeah, so those are probably the things I do.
What podcasts do you listen to?
I listen to a lot of, I love hearing about people's lives. I don't know whether that's like a pervy thing, but like I love Mia Friedman's No Filter. I love The Conversation Hour with Richard, whatever his last name is that I can't remember right now.
Richard Dawker? No, Richard Feidler.
Is that his name? Yes.
Yeah, Richard Feidler. That's it.
Yeah, I love hearing about people's lives. Yeah, so they're probably the 2 main ones that I listen to. Yeah.
And books? I've had a lot of free time to read at the moment.
Yeah, I have found it really hard to read, like at uni.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know why. I always used to be a really avid reader, and then I came to uni, and I think because of just the sheer volume of stuff that we have to read, I just was like, oh, if I have to look at one more book, I'm going to vomit. So I haven't read for years. Like, I've read over the summer, like trashy paperback books that mum has, but yeah, and then lately I've started reading. So I'm actually reading Any Ordinary Day by Lee Sales right now. You read it?
I haven't read it, but I got it from my mother.
You got it.
I gave it to her for Christmas.
Yeah.
I gave it to mum for Christmas, I think. And she said it was great.
Yeah, I'm loving it. And it's very, it's just a really good reminder. It gives a lot of perspective that, like, people get through just the most horrendous things that you can possibly imagine. So while this right now is inconvenient, to say the least, it's like we will get through it. It's going to be fine. And I think that's always really important. It's just some perspective. So yeah, I'm loving that right now. But otherwise, I have very boring taste. Like, my favourite book of all time is Little Women, closely followed by Pride and Prejudice. So, you know,
did you watch the new Little Women?
Oh, my God. It was so embarrassing. I went with Olivia and her sister and her mum. And so they were all just peacefully sitting there. And, like, I knew Beth was going to die. I've read the book hundreds of times. Like, I knew it was coming.
Spoiler alert, if you haven't. I mean, it's like a over 100-year-old book.
If you haven't read it, it's been around for 100
If you don't know the story,
sorry.
What are you doing? It's a bit late for that.
Yes, but I'm sorry anyway, because it is a great book and I'd highly recommend you read it. But I knew that was coming, the whole movie, and I was preparing myself, and I'm a crier anyway, but I thought, you know, like, a few silent tears will be fun. Matt, I was hysterically sobbing in the cinema. Like, like, uncontrollably sobbing. It was horrific. So yeah, I loved the movie, loved the book, but yeah, I'm embarrassing to go to the cinema with.
Don't worry, I'm the same.
Good.
I cry. I'm a crier.
We'll sit there and sob.
When I watch movies, when I watch TV shows.
Good. Me too. I
listen to music. I'll listen to a song and I'll just get teary. I'll just sit there being like, this is a good song. So, like, I don't know, I'll just cry.
I think it makes us very human, Matt. We're just very
I think so. I mean, I don't know about you, but with me, you just get so invested with the characters and with the story. You just get so thrown into that world. Yeah. Like you know them for your whole life. So when something happens, it feels like it's someone you know.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think with books like Little Women particularly, like Little Women is the book I read when I like am really stressed about an exam and I can't sleep, or, you know, it's just like a real comfort read for me. So I really do feel like I know those characters, and when, I can't even talk about it. But anyway.
No, I won't. We won't keep going on Little Women because otherwise you'll start crying.
No one really wants to hear about it anyway, but like.
I'll have to console you. For me, that's, I mean, not so much a crying book, but the one I keep going back to is A Tale of Two Cities.
Oh, yeah.
I just keep going back to that because I did it for high school, for English.
Yeah, classic.
I used it as like one of my comparative texts. And so I like, because you have to study it and draw out like the metaphors and similes, and you
feel so invested.
You get so you know it so well, and I've got it here with me, and it's still got like my highlights in it, and my underlines and all of that. Yeah. But
love it.
It's very worn, but you know, that's how it is. But is there like, was that wine? Was it?
I didn't know this was mine.
Oh, was that wine or something?
Oh no,
because the glass shape.
Yeah, it's just I swear it's water, everyone.
Tricky.
Not an alcoholic.
Tricky.
Give me a month more of isolation.
You study law, so I think you're allowed to.
Yeah, I think it comes with the territory, really.
Yeah. It's the same thing. You're basically doing two jobs. Oh dear. But so apart from reading, podcasts, going for walks,
Oh, I love baking.
Baking. Here we
Yes.
go.
Yes. So I have always loved cooking. Like my mum cooked me as a kid. That's probably where it started. But I love baking in particular. I just feel such satisfaction. Like it's something that you just always get a result from. I think I'm a very results driven person. And more of like a big picture person, I describe myself as. I'm terrible with details. Like me referencing an essay takes 8 times as long as it should, because I just, like, my brain just not good at details, which probably means I'm going to be a terrible lawyer. But anyway, it's fine. And so I just love the satisfaction of baking something, and you're always going to, it's like, I never understood. My brothers love fishing. They could fish for weeks. And I just never got it, because a lot of the time you don't catch a fish. Whereas when you bake, you put a cake in the oven and in 40 minutes you get a cake out of the oven, like there's a result. So I think, and it's also just a very meditative thing, I think. Like I don't really think about it when I do it. I'm just in the zone. I don't really measure things. It's just, I really enjoy it.
Oh, you're one of those bakers.
I am. I'm one of those.
Because I've heard, I don't bake myself. I know there's 2 types of bakers. There's the ones that strictly follow the recipe and step by step, but then there's the ones that just sort of, they read it as if it was like a sort of recommendation.
Yeah. It's like, that's why I'm terrible at constructing furniture, because I read most instructions like a recipe, like it's a suggestion of how you could do it.
Yeah. If you want to put the screw in there, then you can. Otherwise, let the chair fall apart.
Yeah. Meanwhile, like my next youngest brother, Billy, is a builder. And so is just horrified by everything that I do in life, because none of it has any precision or measurement, or he's like a very much measure 3 times, cut once person. And I'm like a cut it, quick, cut it person. So anyway.
Oh dear. Just change the measurements afterwards.
Yeah.
Cut it first and then
make it a smaller house if you have you measured wrong.
Yeah, lopsided or something.
They're like why does it have 1 less bedroom than we had on the plans? Measured wrong.
Sorry, that's just how it is.
That was a rush. You wanted it? Yeah, I did it. Yeah.
Oh dear. Do you get back home often?
In non-coronavirus times, I do. And I was actually thinking that this year I would more than most years, because it's the year that all of my friends turned 21. So I had a lot of 21st, and I had a lot in the last month actually that were meant to happen that obviously haven't. And I've been getting all those notifications on Facebook being like, you have Maddie's 21st tonight. And then I'm like, no, I don't. It's fine.
You're still 20, aren't you?
I am. Yeah.
Yeah.
So mine's actually not till December, and I thought everyone was going to be so sick of 21st by the time mine came. Like everyone would be like, oh, another 21st. But I may actually be the first 21st. So who knows? I'm
the same. I'm end of November.
Yeah, right.
So
see, they're perfect timing. The first time in our lives that this time of year birthday has paid off. But in normal times I do try and get home when I can. It's only a 6.5 hour drive, which like I know sounds like a lot, but it's not. Like I've got very good at that trip. Once I get to Wagga, I'm nearly there. And it's, I don't know. I try and get home when I can. I always try and go home for like Mother's Day and Father's Day, and if my siblings have something significant on, like a play or whatever, I'll go home for that. But yeah, so not this year, but every other year. Yeah, so I try and get home when I can.
What's the one thing you miss most about home?
I think just being surrounded by people all the time. And I know I sound like a broken record now, but I love that whenever I walk into a room at home, there's like at least one person in it.
At least one.
At least one, plus probably a cat and a dog. And like here, I live by myself this year for the first time ever, which is scary. And if I wanted to, not that I do, but if I wanted to, I could be in my room for like days on end and not see a person. So I think I miss that. I miss the noise. you know, I miss like the banter of just, that's basically my whole relationship with my brothers, and until they're about 25, I think that that's all it will be. But and their, you know, frontal lobe develops. But yeah, I think, yeah, just the banter of, you know, fighting over what TV channel we're going to watch and things like that. I think it's the really small things. Like, it's not, you know, the whole thing. It's just bits. Yeah.
Yeah. I'm the same, because like
Mhm.
my house, it is just me, my parents, and at most times a pet
Yeah.
dog. But still just having that, like, going from my room into like the living room and mum sitting there on the couch playing Candy Crush or something like that, you
Yeah.
know, like it's just up there, like seeing like, oh, hello, you
Yeah.
know.
It's really nice. Yeah. I think that's sort of it. I think, like, I love my life in Canberra. And had you asked me in like first semester of first year, I would have been probably like, oh my God, don't talk about my family. But I think now, like, I've built an amazing life in Canberra and I love it here. But I think there are just small things like that you miss.
Are you going to stay in Canberra after uni, after you graduate?
Yeah. I don't really know yet. I think I'd like to, well, at some point I would like to take a year off and just travel and just do the like gap year thing that I didn't do. So I think, depending on whether or not I crack it when I graduate, I might do that for a year. But if not, I think most likely my work will take me to somewhere like the Northern Territory for a bit. And then, you know, obviously if I get into law reform and things like that, then I'll probably have to come back to somewhere like Canberra. I love the idea of living in the country again, but I don't know when that will be. Like, I'm not in a huge rush to get back to the country, and it doesn't have to be Deniliquin. But yeah, I think like I sort of see it like when I'm young, I'll travel and then I'll do some like work in the Northern Territory, then I might come back to Canberra for a bit, and then eventually I'll probably like not retire, but when I'm like 50, I might go to the country and have my own law practice and just do like some family law and some, you know, settling some estates of farms and stuff like that, like, you know, and be my own boss, and then
land
that's
disputes.
sort of where I see it. But I mean, who knows? Like, I change my mind so frequently about everything. Who knows?
You're allowed to.
Yeah, exactly.
That's the thing. You're allowed to change your mind.
Yeah. I
didn't know I wanted to come to ANU until Canberra until the open day. I was actually here on the open day as well, but I was nowhere near the College of Law
I didn't
area. No, I was up around, you know, the what's that, Llewellyn Hall and all that for politics.
That's what law was.
Oh, was it?
Yeah.
Ah.
Little table.
Can't really remember it.
I probably walked past you. It's weird how
probably did.
isn't it?
Holding our mother's hands.
Like, oh my God, I can't believe he just said that to me. Yes.
But yeah, like I didn't know until then, which was like September.
Yeah.
And we had to have applications in before like November or something like that.
I didn't change my preferences until the day I got my ATAR and went, screw you, Professor, I am going to put in my application. And then I got in.
I changed the first week I got in. As soon as I got to ANU, the first week I swapped my degree.
From?
I was originally International Relations and Economics double degree. God. And I instantly dropped economics and went to political science.
Fair enough. And
I'm so glad for it.
Yeah.
I knew a couple of people that from Port actually that did economics, and I think they've since swapped into different degrees, similar sort of finance stuff. Yeah. But the horror stories out of economics, I'm glad I missed those and went straight to politics.
I don't have the maths brain for it. My brain is entirely words and talking. That's it. There's no maths in there.
I used to have maths, but it's like, I think it's just fallen away. It's something where you just got to keep it up. Otherwise, you forget what 2 + 2 is. I could write 1,000 words on why 2 + 2 equals 4, but I couldn't tell you that it is 4.
Yes. But you could probably write more words on why 2 + 2 doesn't equal 3, unlike a dystopian world would lead you to believe.
Yeah. Boom. Easy.
Way
Some
easier.
dystopian, double think.
Yes.
1984 stuff.
Yes. Can you tell that was my Year 12 text?
Oh, it was mine too. It was mine too. Yeah, we had it as well. But so you said you want to travel after uni, maybe. Who knows what happens?
Who knows what'll happen?
Do you have like a idea of where you want to go, or any certain places?
I'd love to do some of South America, but my mum's terrified about that, so who knows? I would love to do Europe, but I think the thing is I don't want to do it as a proper adult. Like, I don't want to go there and be like a lawyer or like a legal secretary. I want to go there and just like work in a bar and have a good time and then flit off somewhere else. So I think in retrospect I probably should have taken a gap year for that reason. I think I was just very much like, I got in, and if I don't do this now, I'm never going to do it. But yeah, I think I'd like to do that at some point. And if I really crack it with study at some point during my degree, I might just flit off to Europe and take a semester off, who knows. But yeah, I think I'd love to do that.
What is it about Europe or about South America that you want to see?
No, I think for Europe, I want to see a lot of Ireland, because that's where lots of my mum's family's from. And yeah, I'd love to do that. And then also just the food, I think. Like, I'm a big foodie. I love cooking. Like, ideally, I'd love to go to France and learn how to like be a patisserie chef. And then, you know, when I have a midlife crisis, I'll open a cafe. But yeah, I think food's a big passion of mine, and hospitality, and I love feeding people and taking care of people in that way. So I think anything to do with food is just exciting to me. And that whole culture of like, let me feed you, and that gathering of people around food is really exciting. So that's probably about Europe. And then South America, I don't know, it's just so different and exciting, and yeah, I don't know, just looks fun. Yeah. How about you? Where would you go?
I'd probably go back to Europe. I've been a couple of times because of families over there. But just to explore. Mum's from Germany, but to like explore it as an adult, I think would be different and have a bit more freedom as to where to go. Because like traveling with mum and dad, it's sort of like, well, we stay here because we're seeing family, and then we go like to this city for a week or so for a bit of a holiday and do like touristy stuff. But like, I think as an adult it would be really cool to go back and then like have my city where my mum's family is as like home base, but then just decide, you know, hey, next week I'm gonna go to Italy. Just because it's so close. Everything's so close. That's the weird
thing. Like, Australia is just so ridiculously big. Like, me driving home would probably in Europe be the equivalent of driving across 3 countries. You know,
like you said, your drive was 6 hours,
6.5 hours. So
you could get from like the north to the south of the continent.
I know.
You could go through like 10 countries, and
that's not even that far on a map in Australia. Like, that's like that far.
Yeah.
That's mind-boggling.
Australia is massive. It is a big country. I always noticed that when we'd fly to Germany and we'd go via, you know, like sometimes we go via Singapore or Abu Dhabi or whatever. So like, say like Sydney to Singapore is like a 9-hour flight or something like that. Around 6 hours of that is just flying over Australia. Like, it is massive, the country, and so many people forget that in Europe. When you mention you're from Australia, they ask you
like small in terms of like population, but not in terms of size.
Like they say like, so I'm from mid-north coast New South Wales, and it's like 5 hours drive from Sydney. Something happens in Sydney, like I don't know, like a bushfire or something, and the family back home is asking, is everything okay? Are you all right?
Yeah.
Like, it's a 5-hour drive away. It's nowhere near it.
Yeah.
Didn't even know it happened, sort of thing. Like it is, it's so different, the perspective. But I would love to go back.
Yeah.
But you mentioned with the food, and that's definitely something that stood out, is just how communal it is. Like
Yeah.
it is like it's an event to sit down and have dinner.
Definitely.
And
I think that's something you sort of do lose at uni. I think that a lot of our time is spent gathering around drinks, but not necessarily food. And that's something I've always enjoyed. Like in high school, I worked in hospitality and I had my own catering business for a while there. And there's something I find really rewarding about feeding people. And seeing how excited they are by my food and stuff like that. It's probably like a very selfish thing, like it's almost like you're buying their love with some chocolate cake or something, but there's something really nice about that I really enjoy. So I think
well, like you get enjoyment out of preparing the food,
definitely,
and then you get enjoyment out of their satisfaction from eating the food.
Yeah,
and you get guaranteed company, so I don't see any of those losses.
There's no losses here.
There's no loss. Like it's,
as our receptionist can tell you, that no one's losing. I keep dropping them baked goods, and they're very happy with that arrangement.
Yeah, take the food.
Take the food. Yeah.
Why deny free food?
Yeah, why not?
Oh dear. But no. Hopefully after uni. And who knows, I might run into in Europe.
Maybe I'll be a pastry chef.
Yeah.
When you said where are you going to end up, I'll be in France running
open up like a hybrid legal patisserie or something like.
Yeah. If you ever come to a meeting at my work, it will have the best lunch ever. Beautiful lunch.
Oh dear. Well, I think that's all.
That's all you've got to ask me. Wonderful.
Yeah. I don't know. Was there anything else? But I think I'm pretty happy with that.
Great.
Awesome.
No, I'm happy. That was fun.
Wonderful.
Time's gone so quickly. I just looked.
I know.
And I was like, oh my goodness, we've been talking almost an hour.
It goes fast. Fast.
Wow.
But yeah, thank you so much for joining me.
Yeah, thanks for having me. It's been so much fun. And
it was great.
I bored you all to tears with my repetitive chat.
Not at all. No, it's been very fascinating.